It's that time of the day. Too early. However, today is the biggest day of our MC's life. It's a study date with the Munchkin waifu. With the help of her genius of being at the top of her class of an elite private school, where she's attending solely on a scholarship and supplementing her mommy cakes habits with the bite though. As long as there isn't a silver-haired vixen around to ruin their one-on-one time of increasing Rintaro's IQ and lowering his bad boy aura, then nothing can go wrong, right? Right? For this video, we will be covering the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, episode 4, Kokoro no Ondo. Please check out my main channel where I cover Dandadan and Fragrant, and check out my previous videos where I cover Sword of the Demon Hunter and the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, where I break down each individual episode. So let's hop in to those mommy cakes. Young Tsumugi wakes up too early on a weekend, and he's not used to being this motivated to pass some exams. It's the combination of not letting his boys down for the sports festival, but mostly because of a study date with the Munchkin that makes faces that make your face go, oh my god, look at him. Tall people are intimidating. On the outside, he's a giant, but on the inside, he's nervous like the rest of us short kings. Rintaro gets off the train and sees a dolled up Munchkin.
Stop your kegel.
No, stop yours. Rintaro and Kaoruko both admit how nervous they are and can't shake the polite speech into informal speech of Tameguchi. Rintaro, being dumb and dense, is finally realizing the attractiveness of the girl standing before him that is totally ready to increase his IQ. But first things first, it's the fragrance-inducing yummies melting into perfect harmony of the rich, tender, and that one word that releases the chemical producing pleasure of euphoria, dopamine. Waguri has always wanted to go eat at Nopori Cafe, and boy, was it worth it. Not only can you eat until your heart's content, but they allow you to study there as well. Rintaro is slowly discovering a good girl's weak spots that can cure various unwanted emotions like sadness and hunger with the mouth-watering elegance of the perfect tummy yummies. Tsumugi and Waguri start off with math, so 1 + 1 in close enough distance equals. It equals! It's too early for this. Waguri apologizes for incoming transfer of body heat. But what her body and what Rintaro's body is producing is more than just body heat, as their hearts thump and thump. Kaoruko, blushing, and explains to our MC Blockhead how to get to the right answers, which leads her to ask about Rintaro's motivations of not wanting to fail. Even though our dense Blockhead might be missing some neurons, we all know it's about the sweets that are in his heart. As he explains that he's going the extra mile to participate with his friends in the school sports festival, Waguri puts the math together that mommy cakes would raise such a sweet son, just as Rintaro sees how sweet of a person Kaoruko is. She points out that he cares so much about his friends, and vice versa. All of Waguri's friends are
Awesome, she says.
the silver-haired vixen. She starts to spit some of Subaru's backstory, like being picked on by meanie boys. We should know by now that this story is all about recognizing your subconscious stereotypes and prejudices. In this case, it's the combination of first impressions of an angry and mean face being a Kikyo student, and the fact that her archetype screams tsundere. She goes on further that she's actually really nice, misunderstood, and is the close friend she's known the longest since childhood. On the playground, swinging from bar to bar. One of Rintaro's best qualities is the fact that he is quite the upstanding gentleman with a gentle soul that realizes his past mistake of judging people like how he did to Waguri in episode 2. She thanks him for not judging Subaru based on their first interaction. And Rintaro's body continues to turn on the body heat, as it looks like at some point both of them would want to share theirs. As dusk still stays dusk and the study day is over, Kaoruko hands over a super duper secret ultra mega study guide that will help Rintaro pass the exams. With this much effort and work put into helping Rintaro, he's hoping that this didn't inhibit her own studies. You know what they say, you are the company you keep. She wants him to pass, have a blast with his friends, and come tell her all about their shenanigans. As Waguri runs off to her train, Rintaro gives his thanks while she encourages him on his exams, maybe with more than just words. Motivated now more than ever to not let Waguri down and himself, it's time to study. Hold it right there, Yasashi Hito. We have to talk. At a cafe once again with the silver-haired vixen turned maiden. After a long pause, she finally speaks.
Are you Kaoruko's boyfriend?
As Rintaro burns himself, Subaru offers him a rag to wipe himself off. To his surprise, they officially introduce each other, and Rintaro starts to realize that this silver-haired vixen got that mean girl aura like he does. But maybe not so much. When asked again about what Kaoruko is to him, he still can't come up with an answer and ponders, like, is she a friend? A customer? Rintaro is so dense, figuring out that Rintaro and Kaoruko just recently met. The silver-haired vixen makes the situation easier on herself to say to him, do not see her again! You goddamn Chidori boy that would just hold her back. Well, she didn't quite say it like that, but the people you associate with can cause a lot of trouble for a person. Suddenly, she turns from a silver-haired mean girl vixen aura into a silver-haired maiden. Rintaro explains that he's not like what people think of Chidori, but Subaru quickly tells him she understands him completely due to his actions from the previous episode of helping Kaoruko and standing up for her. Subaru, she herself, admits that she is the one in the wrong. She misjudged the person, the situation, and reacted in anger. Due to her panic and how she treated him and his friends, she actually apologizes. Like what Kaoruko mentioned before, Subaru has a negative upbringing when it comes to boys. Subaru just wants to protect her good friend and give her unnecessary troubles, even if she knows that Rintaro seems to be a good guy. Adding more to the Chidori Public High School and Kikyo Private Academy lore, the teachers at Kikyo actually hate Chidori more than the students because hate is learned and you learn it from adults. This is continuing to add to the bigger picture theme of the class divide in society. If the senseis find out about their top student being involved with the lowly Chidori boy, how would they intervene? Probably not in a good way. But no, if we learn anything about this story, it's that you don't judge a book by its cover, you judge them by the mommy cakes. They are sweet, fulfilling, and everyone is allowed to enjoy them. A little recurring boy trips and falls and drops his Sentai toy. I guess it's time to continue showing how much our silver-haired vixen is really a silver-haired maiden in disguise. After giving the boy back his toy with a soft and tender tone, he points to her hair to give her a momentary flare. PTSD. But actually, he blushes and says,
Kirei.
yes, let's keep adding to the theme of the story of being misjudged. All the boys on the playground be pointing at her and laughing at her weird colored hair. All she could do was cry tears of sadness that eventually turned her cynical in some ways against dudes. And it was the munchkin, like that little boy that said that her hair
Was Kirei.
Kaoruko saved Subaru from her tears of being bullied, and from that day on, it has been ingrained in her soul that Kaoruko is her hero. Going on further, that she explains that they've been friends since then, in which Rintaro tells her that Waguri already told him. However, you don't know her like I know her, Tsumugi. Meaning, she's been there from the very beginning to witness all of her struggles that ultimately got paid off by making it inside Kikyo to become a top student. The silver-haired maiden, as she blushes, is just looking out for her bestie's best interests, even going as far as to going behind her back to have this conversation, potentially even leading to her hating her. This is how far Subaru is willing to go to repay her for everything she's done for her. Continuing to change our perception of her, she bows to Rintaro to beg and plead for him to leave her alone. With the flashes of everyone's misunderstandings, prejudice, and various other social divides,
How about no?
there will be no blocking of the mommy cakes around here. No matter how deep you try to go in this scene, how sad you're trying to make this feel, you're just blocking the freedom to have true happiness beyond everyone's facade of unnecessary judgment and opinions. Look at you, Subaru! You're literally watching true happiness in the flesh from outside the cafe. Do you really want to be that person that makes decisions based on what a bunch of other people perceive of you?
No!
And she already knew what Tsumugi Rintaro would say. Now, Subaru is all alone, reflecting on what act of dumb she just committed. Quick, somebody give her some mommy cakes! Rintaro is back on the train, just shell-shocked by the attempted blocking of society's class divide, trickling down to make a person commit an act that she knows is actually wrong, because society's perceived opinion of you is stupid. It was already difficult for Rintaro to focus on studying with Waguri. Now, he gotta deal with her close friend, the silver-haired vixen maiden that emits mean girl aura. Rintaro emits bad boy aura. A couple of passengers feel the strength of his confliction. He is surprised that the silver-haired vixen was more like a silver-haired maiden that cares that unbelievably so much about a person. That says something about her, and it also says something about Waguri. That is to be commended. That act and display of Subaru's emotions were absolutely astounding, and it is truly something that he has to consider. From someone's heartfelt plea, the train door opens and look at the two munchkins that came in. It's the two girls that Rintaro gave up his and Usami's seat for. And then he does it again. However, this time they stop him to give them their thanks, even though they were still quite intimidated by his bad boy aura. In reality, our boy is actually just kinda dense and aloof at times. With the two munchkins enduring his bad boy aura, they still had the guts to display their gratitude and realize that maybe their judgment of him was wrong. Tsumugi is startled by that interaction because that literally never happens. And maybe, just maybe, he has some hope for humanity's kindness, which brings about how Kaoruko has always thanked him for the smallest of things. Although he said what he said to Subaru without any regrets, it still dawned on him that his presence still could be an issue for Waguri. And just like that, the exams are over. With the help of Natsusawa and Waguri, Usami and Tsumugi did not fail. In the post-game interview, Usami explains that he lost some of his eyesight staring at so many letters that combined to make sounds that turn into words. In fact, he was only 1 point away from failing. Rintaro's post-game interview.
Ureshii.
Both of our passing boys give their thanks to Natsusawa. This is the happiest Rintaro has ever been, and he's not so much of a blockhead after all. In fact, he is so happy that he pulled out his phone to contact Waguri about his accomplishment. But the voices of the silver-haired vixen echoes in his pea-brain that makes him hesitate to contact her, which leads to Natsusawa accidentally knocking over Rintaro's stuff in his super duper secret ultra mega study guide. It says, "Good luck on your exams," from Kaoruko. It makes too much of a logical sense to have two friends of Kaoruko's and Rintaro's that are adamant about the frustrations on the other side, at least of what it appeared to be in the previous episode. Now we are at the point of the main side characters having a plot point of self-discovery, with this episode mainly focusing on the silver-haired vixen turned maidenish. It's gonna have to wait a little bit longer. As of right now, Subaru is reflecting on what she just did and how she really didn't accomplish what she wanted to do. Now she is going to have to face Kaoruko, and eventually she'll have to be upfront with her because she already feels like she made a mistake. Like in episode 1 through 3, Rintaro seems to be a lot more oblivious to his feelings than Kaoruko is to hers, which is actually very true in life about guys being so dense in these romantic moments. No one works that hard for someone else's success unless they are really invested in the person. And now we are 4 episodes in, and every time Rintaro and Kaoruko have an interaction, it's always a very charming, wholesome, and the beautiful makings of an early romance interaction. They are the main characters and they are the heart and soul of the story. However, all the other characters help round this whole thing out. They make us realize about how the societal perception of everyone is just completely wrong, all the way from the very top, like the teachers, to all the way making Subaru make a decision based on their perceptions from the adults that trickle down to the students. Because social behaviors, like how you perceive another person or a group of people, those things are learned, or those things can be untaught. And that is basically what this story of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is all about. And so this episode gave us this change and shift of what we thought of Subaru in episode 3. Now in episode 4, we have the complete opposite of what we originally perceived of her. Thus, she is kind of like a tsundere archetype. There is a layer of coldness to her personality, but now there is an explanation for it, for why she turned more cynical. And then you have the soft, tender, more feminine side of her come out, who she is trying to protect Kaoruko from the shunning of society because of who Rintaro is as a Chidori student. So after Rintaro and Kaoruko basically come to an understanding about people's perception, now this is going to leak over to their friends, and this episode focuses mainly on Subaru. But now by the end of the episode, it brings in Saku, Ayato, and Shohei into the mix. So these are all the close friends that are now going to be affected by the growing relationship between Kaoruko and Rintaro. And for these videos, if you somehow made it to the end and stumbled upon this video, I hope with each episode breakdown, people can still appreciate the episode itself without knowing these spoilers ahead, or you've already watched ahead. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. And do me a favor, hit the like button if you like the silver-haired maiden. And subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. Check out my previous videos and check out my main channel where I cover Dan and Fragrant. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.